Welcome to Occasional Randomness and our continuing rewatch of Farscape Season 3. I'm your host, Eric Scott, and joining me as always, my fellow co-host, somebody who is not jealous at all, Jason Johnson.
Nope, not jealous in the least. Although I am going to say that there's no way I am ever getting one of those neural link spikes put in my neck because that just seems to lead to all kind of bad stuff. So I'm out.
Well, at least this one comes out without much pain, but anyway, we'll get to that probably.
Yeah, goes in rough, comes out not too bad.
Yeah, probably not. So anyway, yeah, we'll maybe talk about that. All right, so for those of you who actually bothered to keep track of our predictions at the end of each episode about what we think the next episode will be,
That's
I
all
think,
two of you.
yeah, right, because it's not us. So, but I think we might actually have both been 100% correct this time. Again, not that we keep track of this, but pretty much as we'll get into, I think everything we thought it was turned out to be true. So, yay for us? I don't know.
Yeah, in this case, I think we would have to really be bad at this, which sometimes we are. But I think to get this one wrong, the title kind of says it all. So yeah, a blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while. So
Yeah, and pretty much every possible way they could have a green-eyed monster, they did. So, congratulations. They hit all the tropes.
yeah. I mean, if you're gonna swing big, right?
Yeah, or if you're gonna make it obvious, then make it obvious.
Now I have those Captain Obvious commercials stuck in my head. So anyway,
All right, and I think since we're only doing one episode at a time now, and since I did the last recap last time, I guess it's up to you now.
all right. Well, let's see how bad I can muck this up. Uh, Farscape Season 3, Episode 8, The Green-Eyed Monster, as we said already. Following the split of the ships and crew from last episode, Crichton, Craist, and Aaron are on Talyn, while Rygel and Stark are away doing recon on a transport pod. Hey, look, they have recon or transport pods now. Cool. Crichton is having serious problems with things not working, and the DRD is constantly hovering over him all the time. So he goes to command, only to find that door won't open. Yeah, it seems to be a lot of closed doors here. Meanwhile, Aaron, who is with Crace on command, has taken propulsion offline in hopes that it will help speed Talyn's recovery. Crace mentions that she has a remarkable understanding of Talyn's systems, and then asks if she's thought more about his previous proposal. John is finally let in, and he asks Crace while the DRDs are working around him 24/7 so he can't sleep, why he's finding doors locked and the shower's cold. He says it's not really a problem, but Crace should not mess with his stuff, and he asks where Winona is, his favorite gun. This prompts Crace to ask Talyn to have the DRDs search for it, claiming his own innocence. Crichton suddenly notices a moon in their way, but that's no moon, it's a Budong, and it swallows Talyn whole. Talyn starts to panic, firing weapons and maneuvering thrusters, so Crace and Aaron try to calm him down. Crichton says they're still moving down, they're being swallowed. As Crichton and Crace begin to argue, Aaron steps in and says that Crichton is right, they don't want to be swallowed. Crichton says to drop anchor, but they don't have one, so to speak. Crichton and Aaron prepare some torpedoes with lines attached to them and go outside to hook them to the bones of the Budong. After some misses, they succeed. Meanwhile, Stark and Rygel return from their recon, but Talyn is not at the rendezvous point. Rygel attempts to call them, but Stark reminds him that calm silence is necessary as Aaron's mother and the Peacekeeper retrieval squad are still out there somewhere. Stark spots the Budong and starts to shut everything down so that they won't attract it by their ship's electronic emissions. Rygel says he's never heard of that before, but Stark says that's because everyone who's encountered a living Budong before are all dead.
Dun dun dun.
Yeah, dun dun dun. Rygel decides to get them out of there, but Stark objects. Luckily, the Budong avoids eating them. Back on Talyn, Aaron returns to command, where Crace says that they have something to discuss, and he's engaged privacy mode, so it will be between just the two of them. Crichton is still finding doors locked when Crace's voice, apparently breaking up from interference, tells Crichton to meet him in his quarters. Crace tells Aaron that he wanted to wait for her to make up her own mind, but events have led to a different situation. Meanwhile, Crichton finds a vid chip in Crace's quarters, while Aaron says that she won't remain aboard Talyn under those circumstances. So Crace says that it may be best for her to see him as he is and begins to undress. In Crace's quarters, Crichton watches the vid chip, which contains a video of Aaron and Crace having sex during a previous encounter. Crichton is moody as he walks to command and enters just as Crace is zipping up. Tension is in the air, and Crace says that Talyn has completed the scan and he believes that they can navigate the insides of the Budong and get out by navigating the digestive tract. So Crichton asks if Talyn might freak out at the plan to fly out the Budong's butt. Aaron says that he'll be fine with help and decides that she'll take the neural interface with Talyn. Crichton doesn't like that idea, but asks if there's anything that he can do. When Crace says no, Crichton storms off. Aaron follows and says she wants him there, and that if it's the right thing for her to do. He says that she should do whatever she wants. She asks what he means, and he says that means she always does what she wants to do, when she wants to do it, and with whom she wants. He says it's always about what she wants, and she could be with Crace and rejoin the Peacekeeper family she's been longing for. She asks if he's finished and says that he's right. She doesn't want him there after all. Back on the pod, Stark tells Rygel that he's not overreacting. Budongs are deadly. He's tied up Rygel, who tries to say something through his gag. Stark takes off the gag and asks what he said, and Rygel takes the opportunity to vomit all over him. Stark runs off to clean himself up, as Rygel says that he loves that trick.
Yeah, for some reason, Rygel loves the physical comedy there.
Well, when you've got a Muppet, you kind of got to run with what you got. Crichton runs back to get into command, only to find the door locked again. Aaron receives the neural implant and says that Talyn is beyond beautiful, and Crace says, "Welcome to our world." Crace teaches Aaron how to use the interface, and she opens comms and hears Rygel calling for them. Crace explains their situation, and Rygel calls Stark out, saying that he claims to be a Budong expert. Stark says that the Budong stomach is an inferno, and nothing ever leaves a Budong alive, which causes Talyn to panic and try to release the mooring lines. As Crace tries to stop him, Talyn causes him great pain.
And so much for Talyn. No, Talyn can handle the truth, no problem. No.
Yeah. Talyn seems to be a very stable and reliable young man. Crichton finally arrives on command when Aaron notices that Crace is gone. She uses the transponder to find him. He's trying to release the cables. Crichton takes her gun to stop him, but Crace manages to detach a cable. Aaron gets the door open and Crichton shoots the panel to stop Crace from releasing the last one. Crace says that he wishes Crichton had killed him and begins screaming in pain for Crichton to kill him. There are sores all over his body. Aaron manages to knock Talyn out to stop him from releasing the last cable. In Crace's quarters, Crichton wakes up Crace and asks what's going on. Crace says that it's cybernetic bleedback. The sores and lesions are physical symptoms. At times of high emotion, he and Talyn merge, and Talyn gains a degree of control over Crace. Resistance to it causes him pain. Crichton says that he set up Aaron for the same problems, but Crace says that she'll not be affected, and the choice was Aaron's. Crichton says that he keeps hearing that Crace has changed, but he thinks that weather changes and they just keep making the same mistakes. Aaron comes in and says that she put Talyn in sleep mode. Crichton says that they need to figure out what they need to do next and goes to check on the cables. Stark contacts them saying he has a plan to get them out of there. He says that he and Rygel will feed the Budong too much ice, and Talyn will dump his cesium fuel to make the ice explode, causing the Budong to vomit so that Talyn can ride it out. Crichton and Aaron say no, they need that fuel, but Stark says they must have some other explosives, and Aaron remembers that the torpedoes have warheads, which she disarmed. Crichton goes outside to arm them. Aaron tries to tell Crichton to wait, but the comms aren't working. Crichton releases the cable, and Crace says that Talyn is moving to leave Crichton behind. Crichton is still calling Aaron, but he can't open the door to get inside. Crace says that Talyn hates Crichton since he isn't a peacekeeper or a Sebastian, and also sees him as a threat to Aaron, who he wants to protect. Crace says that he tried to persuade Talyn, but it didn't work. Aaron tells Crace to tell Talyn to go back and get Crichton, but Crace says he can't. Aaron tells him not to lie to her. It's not about Talyn. It's about him, her, and Crichton. He's taught Talyn everything he knows. Outside the hatch, Crichton realizes neither Aaron or Crace would intentionally try to kill him and screams at Talyn to let him in. Aaron looks at the open hatch again and gets Talyn to show her the truth. Talyn won't open the door, even when Crace suggests he does what she says. Aaron tells Talyn that before Crichton dies, she wants to share something with him denied to peacekeepers, something he'll never know. So she does so and tells Talyn that that is what it is like to need someone, and says that Talyn doesn't need her and never will, and she rips off the neural link. Talyn opens the door just before the detonation and rides the vomit out of the Budong. They bring the pod aboard and leave. Crace wants Aaron to reconsider, but she says that she's always done what others believe is right, but this is really right. He shows Aaron the vid chip, saying some of the entries are very creative. Aaron goes to Crichton and says that he knows it's not real. Talyn altered the last part of the image. She never recreated with Crace. Not that it should matter. He says that it does, but she says that it never did before. Aaron says that she had this life and she liked it. It had rules, she followed them, and that made everything right. Then he came along and frailed everything up. She says that he saw the recording and didn't say a word. She says that he's like a plague and he's ruined her life, yet she just keeps coming back. He shows her his star charts and his names for stars. He shows her a bright star, his point of reference. He says that it always becomes the center of his chart, and he always names it Aaron. He says that it's his one constant, and asks her if she wants to name some stars. She says there are a lot of them, but he says there's plenty of time, and they kiss.
Aww.
Little trivia from this episode. Beginning with this episode and continuing for a number of weeks, the series alternates between the two crews, with one set of cast members taking the week off. The only exception is Ben Browder, who continues to appear in every episode. The Budong makes its second appearance after the second season episode, Home on the Remains. This is the first and only living one to appear on the show. Spoilers.
Yeah, so there you go. For the next season and a half, no more Budongs.
Or at least living Budongs, right?
That's true, yeah.
The Budong was created entirely from computer effects. The Jim Henson Creature Shop work was primarily on the DRDs aboard Talyn. The title comes from the phrase that originates from Shakespeare's Othello. "Oh, beware, my lord, of jealousy. It's the green-eyed monster which doth mock, the meat it feeds on." Also, Ben Browder was the writer of this episode. This was his first television script. And finally, Aaron's line about the interior of the Budong being pitch black is a reference Browder added to the 1999 film of the same name, which starred Claudia Black, and which I saw in theaters.
Well, that's good for you. I saw it way later on cable TV.
Yeah, well, I don't know which of us won on that one.
Oh, come on, it's Vin Diesel. Who doesn't like Vin Diesel?
Actually, I really liked that movie. I thought it was pretty impressive considering how low budget it was. But yeah. So, thoughts on this one?
I have some.
I think this is one of those we'll find out we're pretty much in alignment on, but go ahead.
Yeah, as we said way back when we first started this rewatch, we're going to watch everything. We're not going to cherry pick the episodes, so we'll watch the good and the bad, or not so good. So I guess it kind of forecasts where I'm going with this. So I guess after the first time I watched it, I wasn't exactly thrilled with it. I'm not really sure why. I did like the character interactions. That's always been a hallmark of Farscape. The character development, character growth, interactions and stuff. So that didn't disappoint, really. I'm probably more annoyed about Talyn, that it just acts so irresponsibly. And maybe that's because it's, a little baby Leviathan-ish. I don't know how old it is now, a year, 2 years, whatever, or how fast they grow up. And I guess it is consistent with what we've heard before and not seen, that, he's reckless and he's always getting in trouble and whatever. Whether that's Crace's fault, his Talon's fault, both, I don't know. But I guess probably the biggest thing that bugged me was Crichton just accepting that video of Crace and Aaron supposedly sleeping together and kind of just shutting down and just kind of being pouty. That seems kind of out of character for someone that, if this is the love of his life, now he's just be like, oh, okay, she likes Crace now, okay. I mean, and granted, this is Ben's script, so I guess I can kind of see what he was going for, and we'll get more of that in a minute. So I guess it kind of pulls it out of the bad category, but like I said before, it's not the good category either. So what's that, average or meh category, I think, for me?
I think I'm pretty well on record, as we've discussed a lot of the episodes, that I hate the back and forth misunderstanding relationship. We're going to misunderstand each other or something, and that's going to cause relationship issues among the crew. It's just kind of a trope that I don't like in pretty much anything. I like for our nuclear family to work and then let them deal with the world. But this is I don't know. I'm never a fan of that trope, and I do have to say though that this one I think set better with me than most. Probably because the title had us anticipating it, right? When we were talking about a green-eyed monster and expecting some jealousy amongst the people there, that was the first thing that came to mind. Was that kind of they've been angling towards this Crace Aaron thing for a while, even though it doesn't make any sense or have anything to do with anything. So I was expecting it. I don't like it, but there have been worse episodes that we've dealt with these crew issues before, relationship issues before. So Uh, I'll put it in the mech category, but I don't think I ever hit it into the bad just because I was anticipating it so much, I think.
Yeah, and we'll probably dive in a little bit more into that three-way, four-way, whatever I said last time, like dodecahedron, you know, Venn diagram of jealousy or whatever. But yeah, it's just like, you know, I mean, yeah, that's been a hallmark of Farscape that, they started out quibbling and arguing and fighting each other, and then they became like, a crew and a family, and stuff happens, and they still do the little bickering back and forth and stuff, which is fun. But yeah, just to like kind of go off the rails, like, are we doing this again? I'm like, so. But yeah, we'll
Yeah,
get to that here in a little bit. So.
yeah,
All right, so getting to more fun-ish things, or at least not the main plotline thing. Looks like we got another little bottle show, and now it's only one half of the cast because now they split up. So that's kind of interesting. I thought maybe they're going to do like a half on Talyn, half on Moya kind of thing, and have like two plot lines and things going on. But nope, they just, which is kind of cool. They just cut it down to like one group of people, as we learned in the trivia that I guess they're going to go back and forth. So that'll be kind of interesting.
yeah.
Something
So
that probably haven't really seen before in other kind of TV shows.
for a bottle show, does that make it one of those really small cans they come out with now that aren't the full size cans? They're like the sampler cans or whatever.
Yeah, it's
But
like it's like a 8 ounce show, not a 16-ounce show. Is that what?
right, yeah, something like that. Instead of the 12-ounce full size, you get kind of the anyway. Uh, I do think that I've never worked on a TV show, but from everything I've read and heard, the production schedules are really hectic for season shows, and I'm sure it was probably the same back when this was made. So I expect this also kind of provided a nice break with the crew, right? Because they could stagger or get breaks, however they scheduled it between these episodes, and so they weren't on set for every one of these episodes for the recording schedule, with the exception of Ben Browder, of course, who had to get cloned and be in both crews. So
Yeah, and I don't know how their contracts were, but hopefully they were paid by how much they thought they were going to be in the season, and then when they decided to split episodes up, that they didn't like lose money. It's like, oh yeah, you're not going to be on this week, and you're not going to get paid. So so hopefully everybody else got paid that they weren't in the show. So
ooh, good point.
yeah, I was trying to look up like contracts and how like shows work, and I guess they can be like a per season order, so they might have like so many shows they're going to be in, so they might think like, oh, season's 22 episodes, you're going to be in 22 episodes, and then it doesn't work that way for just plot reasons or as they're developing this, and so I'm sure they probably got paid, I would guess. All right, let's try and think of some other fun things here before we get into the not so fun things. I guess last episode they mentioned that Talon didn't have any DRDs yet, and now this time he does, and they're kind of cool looking. They kind of look like, I guess, like a little mini Talons in some respects. They're more military-like. They look like they're armored as compared to Moya's little DRDs that are just like look like little fabric kind of little bag things running around. They don't look like they're that dangerous or threatening. But Talon's DRDs kind of look like a little badass, right?
Yeah, he outsourced his DRDs designed to Tony Stark. So
Yeah, it did kind of look like Stark Tech, didn't it? It had that like crimson kind of like shiny armor kind of look to them. Yeah,
yeah, or actually maybe based on the timelines, maybe Tony Stark cribbed from this, but either way,
that's true because that was what 10 years later, right? So give or
right?
take. So yeah, see Farscape once again. People steal from Farscape. We've
Yeah,
proved this before.
that's right. It all comes back to Farscape. They just don't realize it.
And they get swallowed by the aforementioned green-eyed monster. So that's both literal and figurative. Our reappearance of a Budong, this time a live Budong. So it's pretty nice effects throughout the episode. With every time we saw it, they did a pretty good job with the effects. Not quite sure what, besides everything, a Budong would eat and how much of it needs to eat to live. But you can pretty much figure out immediately why everyone's so afraid of meeting one. Because if you do, you're probably dead.
Yeah, and I found this really interesting. I think this is one of the cool, like, mythological or whatever you want to call it, things of the show, right? We don't get a lot of creature history stuff going on. I mean, when we encounter them, we do, but as far as like people's perceptions of space and stuff, what to avoid. And I think the design of a creature that is so lethal that it doesn't really have a reputation because anybody who ever encounters a live one doesn't survive. So there's no survivors to report back. That's a kind of an interesting concept.
Yes, I think even Rygel mentions like to Stark, oh, so now you're an expert on Budongs or something, because basically like no one is because no one's probably lived long enough to study one. So,
Right. I mean, they've got dead ones, but if you encounter a live one, you're just dead. So
yeah, so that kind of like leaves the research to a bare minimum there. Yeah.
yeah, now this crew is now like the foremost experts on Budong in the galaxy.
Yep, inside and out. Yep, that's right.
Or at least halfway through. So
Well, yeah, you don't get too far down there because, yeah, again, you'd be dead. And of course, Rygel, our lovable coward, wants to leave after Stark thinks Talon got eaten by it, and he doesn't even care just to be 100% sure, like, maybe do some sweeps, see if they're still, like, hiding behind, the little rings there somewhere. Nope, just wants to go. So, the more things, as you said before, change with Farscape, the more they don't. And, Rygel even goes so far as to try to sabotage Stark's every attempt to stay and help. He's eating the comms power or whatever button, whatever he did, and trying to barf on Stark to get him to run away so he can sabotage things and try to get away again. So it's like, yeah, Rygel, being Rygel.
I did love the part where he swallowed the comm chip and Stark just immediately goes elbow deep, right? Just down the gullet. So, things you can only do when you're dealing with a Muppet, right? Yeah.
Yeah, right. Can't really pull it off with a live action actor. Not, doesn't work that way.
If anybody would, it'd be Stark. So
All right, and then we get to like the middle part of the episode where I think things started to fall apart for me. So, or at least the stuff I didn't really care about, even though they wrapped it up nicely, which we'll get to. It's like I
yeah,
still don't understand Crichton just he sees the video. Obviously we know it's fake because we're the audience and we know that he got the fake call from Craze to go to his quarters, and he sees the video of Craze and Aaron having sexy time, and you might think he might be a little upset about that. No, he's pretty much just plays it like pouty or just shuts down, doesn't really talk anymore, which of course is, as we know, Crichton, that's not normal. So it's like, does he really think that she's suddenly in love with Craze, or just wants to run off with him and Talyn and go back to something somewhat similar to Peacekeeper World, even though Craze and Talyn aren't peacekeepers and they're being chased by peacekeepers, they're probably gonna be killed by peacekeepers. So, huh? Like, I just don't understand other than just, drama for the sake of drama. But then again, we're not going to buy it because we know it's fake. So I just kind of don't get that whole middle bit there.
no, I think it goes in the classification of, like you said, it's done for the convenience of the plot. As you said, it's drama for drama's sake, just so they can have some conflict. It's the type of regression that bothers me because it gives it like a CW feel. Not if you like CW shows, that's fine. I'm not knocking them, but they pretty much perfected the trope of we have to have some kind of angsty teenage drama, and I think that's almost what this feels like. It's like, oh, we've yes, they've professed their love for each other a couple times, and we've gotten blah blah blah, but now we need some drama with Grace, so let's throw it in there.
Yeah, because the first little thing that puts some doubt or shade on their relationship or their love for each other, and then Crichton's like, "Oh, I'm done. Goodbye. That's it." I'm like, "Really?" Like, it's kind of like we've gone back and forth. She's proven that she loves you. She didn't want to say it. Now she has, from what, the space station episode or whatever, where she's like, "Oh, okay, let's go for it." And they seemed happy, which of course, like he said, drama for drama's sake. We can't have, happy love life. We have to, test it. And okay, I mean, it all turns out well in the end, and hopefully we're done with this crap. So,
Yeah, I won't hold my breath. I feel like we say that a lot. And again, like the show, it's just it doesn't matter what show it is. This stuff always kind of it's my least favorite part of it. So,
but if we've learned nothing from Farscape over the last 3 and a quarter seasons, that even when stories either don't make sense or aren't necessarily good stories, there's still things that we can pull out of them that we enjoy and that we even reference later. Go back and listen to our episode called DNA Mad Scientist, and you'll learn that that was a horrible episode, but it's driven things that have been for the better after that. So this is kind of another one of those kind of veins. We learn more about the characters that could pop up later. Like, since we're going to be on Talon for a while, apparently, we've learned that Talon and Grace's connection is a little different than Moya's and Pilot's in the fact that, I guess, when things get really crazy, which apparently happens quite a lot, that Talon can somehow control Crace, like either outright control of his body, not his mind, but I guess he can make him do things, and inflict pain and like kind of gross little boils and lesions on him. Which, if you're looking at this from like a ship design standpoint, that's not very good. If the Peacekeepers ever do this again, they need to kind of rework that interface a little bit.
yeah, this is probably my favorite takeaway thing from this episode. If I had to boil out one thing that was kind of like a cool move forward, right? Or something that they could play with. That the concept of introducing Talon's ability to control Krace, and I kind of took that a little differently. Maybe I misunderstood it, but I was thinking it also meant that he could like fully control him, like almost like puppeteer, which gives us an interesting aspect of having having an unreliable informer perspective, right? Because now anything Krace does or says has to be viewed with suspicion, and that goes for anything he's said in the past, right? Because that means that this has probably been in place ever since he bonded with Talyn, and so anything that he's told them since then in the past is now suspect.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think about, I mean, he didn't really say anything when he was trying to sabotage or let go of the umbilical cords there. He was just, doing his little thing. Or was he talking? I can't remember. But yeah, so yeah, it's a good point. Maybe he can fully control them, like we've seen, like in the season two, beginning of season three, where that Scorpius controls, that one guy from the med lab or whatever. So yeah, I mean, could be. Could be
Well,
some kind of similar stuff.
yeah, it just led me to wonder if Talon was one of the jealous ones and he was controlling Krace. Maybe some of the stuff that Krace was saying to get Aaron to bond might have been influenced by Talon. So anyway,
Hmm. Yeah, and we do kind of a little funny kind of not outright callback to 2001: A Space Odyssey, where Crichton's locked outside of the ship and can't get back in, and his comms don't work. It's like, I'm sorry, Crichton, I can't do that. That's what I was thinking when he was stuck out there. Although I guess that was kind of the aha moment of the episode, right? Where Crichton, I guess, finally has some quiet time because he's kind of got nothing else to do, and he kind of finally
enjoy
realizes
the
that
view.
it's Tal. Yeah, right. Yeah, blackness. Yeah, that it's Talon who's the jealous one, and probably has been the one that's been messing with him all in the past with the cold showers, stealing his gun, messing with the doors, and basically now wants to get rid of him. I guess because Talon thinks he, Crace, and Aaron are a family, a unit, friends. They're whatever. But then kind of Aaron kind of blows some of that away, saying no, that's anything that Talon learned. She's learned that from Crace. So then it's Crace that's jealous of. I'm guessing it's maybe because Crace is jealous of Aaron and Crichton's relationship, maybe, and she's living happily ever after, so to speak, since she was thrown out of the peacekeepers, and he's been thrown out of the peacekeepers basically, and he's hunted by them now, right, like she was. So maybe he's trying to get some of that back because he's like her, but he's all alone, versus she's gotten family, friends, a love interest, and he's all now he's the one that's all pouty and alone, right?
The downfall of all that to me is I'm not quite sure. Yeah, despite everybody being jealous of everybody and the green-eyed monster and all that, I'm not sure who the jealousy is. Right, like you said, is it Talon jealous of Crichton? Is Talon jealous of Crichton's relationship with Aaron, or just Talon Crichton in general? Is it because he learned it from Crace and Crace is jealous of Crichton? Does that mean he wants to be with Aaron romantically? I never quite got the actual definitive like who wants what, and maybe it doesn't matter. But that was the probably biggest confusion I had there. I do think that, like you said, Talon's age is a big play in it, and like the pranks he's playing on Crichton, the cold showers and the locked doors and stuff, is very adolescent. I don't like you. Quit dating my mom type thing. So maybe that's where he's coming from, and the intention is. If I could redo a little bit of this episode, if I had like carte blanche to kind of change a little bit, I think I would have trimmed a lot of that up and spent more time on the Crichton out the airlock scene, because as you said, it does kind of have a cool aha 2001 Space Odyssey conversational moment between him and Talon, and I would love for that to have gotten a lot more time instead of the really quick cuts back and forth between the action, because everything was at the peak there, and have just kind of a maybe even some kind of interaction between the two of them would have been kind of cool, right?
Yeah, I mean, they kind of build up the drama of being stuck, and they gotta get out soon, and then they kind of rush through like the explanation, I guess, of who's jealous of who or whatever. Because is Crace for real when he says Talon doesn't like Crichton because he's not a real Sebastian, and that's the reason, or is because he somehow wants Aaron, whether as a friend or not, or I don't know. I don't know why suddenly he wants that, if that's true, because he's the one that kicked her out of the service and was threatening to put the basically the death penalty on her for being contaminated by this alien back in the first episode of the show. So I'm like, is that true, or is it somehow Talon got not jealous? I don't know. It's confusing. So like maybe it's parts of it are true. I don't know, but yeah, it could have been done better.
Yeah, my head canon is that, and this is probably not accurate at all, but that because Talon imprinted on Aaron, when he was, I'm putting air quotes around born, right, and they've always had that bond. That because he's linked to Crace, he's influenced Crace's attraction to Aaron, right? So while Crace may not have been attracted to Aaron before, his feelings through Talon are amplifying it. I don't know. That's my headcanon because I like it that way. So at
Yeah.
least it makes sense to
No,
me.
yeah, I mean, that makes more sense probably than what they were trying to go for with this one. Which would explain like where that kind of this out of the blue craze fixation with Erin is, like, getting information about her mom, trying to get her to come on board and join the crew. Although, she is better, he said, controlling Talon than he is. So yeah, I mean, maybe it's he just needs her because, he wants to keep Talon and he wants to keep, surviving and not being, captured, and she's his best chance. So yeah, who knows? I mean, one explanation is as good as the other, I guess.
Yeah.
And then finally, everything gets all wrapped up neat in a bow in 10 seconds. No, like, at the end, and Aaron and Crichton make up, and everything gets explained, and they kiss. Everything's happily ever after. Please, God, please, let's just be the end. Let's just end this subplot. Although, like we said, you never know, and we've got like 36 more episodes left to go. So who knows?
Yeah, to beat the dead horse one more time for this show, this podcast, I feel like I say it every time. Let them be together. Let's get this drama from an external source, not from the internal conflict. Once you've done it like 10 times, I think we're good. I think we can have built the relationship, and let's just move on. Let something else be the drama.
Yeah, so what would really be great is, if they pull this again, that, now that they've been through trials and tribulations with their relationship now, what, 47 times, that, the 48th time they'd be like, I know what this is. You won't get between me and Aaron. You won't get between me and John. We know better. Oh, great.
Well,
Yay, clap, clap.
haven't they both almost been married like 3 times now? So to different people. So I think we can get past that, and we've done that.
Yeah. I think we've got every combination of this now, so are we good? Thanks, please. Yes. Okay. All right. I think we've beaten, like you said, this dead horse as much as we can. Any final thoughts or anything?
No, I think like we said, it's not terrible. There's some pretty decent stuff in here. I think the Budong and some of those stuff is cool. I hope as we go through these separate crew episodes that we can get some more use out of all the crew members. I felt like maybe other than a little bit of conversation, Stark and Rygel, while they did provide some humor, were kind of isolated off for most of it, and maybe we can get better use out of them. I know it's tough to use everybody, but it goes in the meh category. We've had worse, we've had better, but still, it moved forward, I think, and then we'll see what happens next time with the other crew, and then we'll see where they pick up with this group when we come back to them.
Yep. Yeah, and like you said, maybe they can focus more on other members of the crew, like Jewel, our new crew member, who's not in the main cast credits, but she's part of the cast, right? So maybe having three less character, or actually four less characters on Moya, should have more to do, and they'll finally find something for her to do or grow into her own character this time. So who knows? We'll see.
Yep.
Speaking of, we'll see. Next time, if you're following along, that will be season 3, episode 9, Losing Time. And like we always do, like we mentioned at the top of the episode, playing our game of what does that mean? Well, you got time, so I mean, they've done their share of little time travel-y, timey-wimey kind of stuff. So maybe not, probably not. So maybe more literal, like losing time. Like that's kind of a phrase of like, if you have a blackout or you can't remember something, you've lost time, right? So maybe something happens with the crew that way. Or another saying like, I lost time doing this. It's like, you're doing something, like annoying or trivial or something that's keeping you from doing the thing you want to do. So you're losing time doing this thing when you should be doing that thing, right? So maybe there's something critical they have to do, but they keep getting sidetracked with something, possibly. Those are my
Yeah,
guesses.
I'm on a similar track. I'm thinking more along the lines of they're losing time, stuck trying to get back to the rest of the crew, either searching for Talon and Moya is wanting to get back to them, and they're just trying to kind of feel like they're cooling their heels, trying to figure out where to go next. Or maybe they're pinned down, right? I'm picturing like the Millennium Falcon having to sit there and wait out the search parties and stuff, and maybe Aaron's mom's search force has got them pinned down, or they're trying to sit still and avoid them so they can move forward, and they're just stuck, killing time, and that'll give us a chance to have some inter-crew dynamics as they just kind of are forced to sit in one place and not do anything.
Yeah, because with it being Aaron's mother that's hunting them, you would think that she would find them with Talyn, where Aaron is. But no, if you want to twist it, she'll first find where Aaron isn't, and then work her way backwards. Maybe, who knows?
Right, which may end with Talon having to go in and rescue Moya as they're kind of stuck with Aaron's mom. So, anyway.
Yep, having Talon do what he doesn't want to do, go to the people trying to capture him, right? So that could be a little plot twist, drama, real
Yeah,
drama, not this
real
kind of drama we
drama.
had in this episode. Yeah, right. All right, I think you pretty much figure out where we fit with that drama. On that note, I guess that is your homework for next time, and we'll see you then. Goodbye.
Later.